John Goodman is looking good, and not just in a passing, casual way. He's glowing with vitality, walking with confidence, and carrying himself with the kind of grace that doesn't come from celebrity status alone. It's the grace of a man who has fought a hard battle and is still winning. At 73 years old, the beloved actor stepped onto the red carpet on Sunday, July 13th, for the premiere of the new Smurfs movie at the Paramount Theater in Los Angeles. There was something undeniably different about his appearance, not just physically, though that was certainly the headline. He smiled easily, stood tall, and exuded calm in a navy blue suit paired with a patterned tie and brown shoes that gave his entire look a quietly stylish polish. And beneath all of that? A 200-pound weight loss that has redefined the trajectory of his life. Goodman, who voices the wise and iconic Papa Smurf in the upcoming animated reboot of the classic franchise, was not just promoting a film, he was, whether intentionally or not, showing the world what a second act can look like. Smurfs is set to hit theaters on Friday, July 18th, and features a star-studded lineup including Rihanna, James Corden, Nick Offerman, Daniel Levy, and more. But even amidst all that talent, it was Goodman's quiet transformation that stole the spotlight. After all, this wasn't just about a change in appearance, it was a transformation of mindset, of identity, of how one chooses to age. The road to this point, however, has been long, winding, even treacherous. Goodman's journey toward wellness and weight loss began in earnest back in 2007, nearly 2 decades ago. At the time, the actor was known and loved for his larger-than-life presence both on screen and off, from his unforgettable run on Roseanne as Dan Connor to his many acclaimed film roles in The Big Lebowski, Monsters, Inc., Argo, and Flight. But behind the humor and talent was a man silently battling the toll that years of unhealthy habits had taken on his body and spirit. By his own account, Goodman once tipped the scales at nearly 400 pounds. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches, he told David Letterman during a now-famous interview that his weight had crept to that staggering number by 2011, a turning point that made him realize he was living on borrowed time. But even years before that, the signs were there. There were moments when he felt physically drained, emotionally disconnected, and deeply dissatisfied with the person he saw in the mirror. "I just got tired, sick and tired of looking at myself," he shared in an interview. "You're shaving in the mirror and you don't want to look at yourself. It gets dangerous." It wasn't vanity speaking, it was exhaustion. It was the painful self-awareness that comes when your body becomes a prison, and your habits are the warden. In an honest conversation with People, Goodman later confessed that food had become more than sustenance, it was a cycle of impulse and regret. "I was just shoving everything into my mouth," he said candidly. "I didn't care what it was. There were no limits, no boundaries. Food became comfort, escape, routine, and even addiction." The actor once described how much creative energy he spent just sitting and planning his next meal. "It takes a lot of creative energy to sit on your ass and figure out what you're going to eat next," he told the publication with a grim smirk, as if reflecting on the absurdity of it all. What was once a necessity became an obsession. Every day revolved around what to eat, when to eat, and how to feel better temporarily, only to feel worse afterward. But John Goodman is no stranger to struggle. He's a man who has faced more than his share of darkness and still found the light. And when he finally decided to take back his health, it wasn't for a role, or a paycheck, or the pressure of Hollywood. It was personal. It was, as he would later say, simply about wanting to live life better. He wasn't chasing a number on the scale or aiming to be featured on the cover of a fitness magazine. He just wanted to feel human again. To live without pain. To wake up with energy instead of dread. To be able to walk without his knees screaming. To breathe without gasping. To move with intention, not shame. Still, his trademark wit never went far. Even in the midst of this transformation, he kept his sense of humor close. "I don't want to be an example to anybody when the weight comes thundering back on, when I start eating Crisco out of the can with a spoon and a side of confectioner's sugar," he joked during a 2023 interview with AARP. Beneath the humor was a real fear, the fear of relapse, of returning to a life that had cost him so much. Because weight loss isn't a finish line. It's a lifelong marathon. And for someone like Goodman, the threat of backsliding was never entirely out of sight. To combat that, he made real, sustained changes, starting with portion control. It wasn't about crash diets or punishing workout regimens. It was about awareness. About slowing down, being present, listening to his body. He stopped shoveling food in like it was a race and started thinking about what he was eating, why he was eating, and whether it was worth it. The actor also gave up alcohol, a massive shift for someone who had once used drinking as a crutch during low points. Sobriety didn't just clear his mind, it gave him a fighting chance. But Goodman didn't do it alone. He brought in a health coach to guide him, someone who could offer structure, support, and accountability. He also committed to regular workouts, which became more than just a physical effort, they became a spiritual practice. Moving his body wasn't just about burning calories, it was about reclaiming his agency, rebuilding his strength, and reconnecting with a part of himself he had forgotten. This wasn't a transformation born out of vanity or industry pressure, it was one forged in self-respect. For years, Goodman had used his size as part of his identity, even humor. But there came a point when it stopped being funny. When it started being dangerous. When the act no longer fit the man. And in shedding the weight, he shed layers of pain, of avoidance, of self-loathing. He rediscovered not just his waistline, but his willpower. Now, as he stands on red carpets and lends his voice to beloved animated characters, there's something almost poetic about it. He has literally and metaphorically lightened his load, and in doing so, he seems more alive than ever. The weight didn't just fall off, it was worked off, day by day, decision by decision. And as the years go by, he's still maintaining that change, a feat that deserves even more applause than the initial transformation itself. What's remarkable about Goodman's story is that he doesn't position himself as a guru or a wellness icon. He doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. He's still just a guy trying to be better than he was yesterday. And that humility is perhaps what makes his journey so relatable. Because for so many people struggling with their health, the idea of change can feel like an impossible mountain. Goodman didn't leap to the top. He climbed it, slowly, steadily, with plenty of slips and setbacks along the way. But he kept climbing. And he's still climbing. In a culture obsessed with quick fixes and instant results, Goodman's story is a reminder that real transformation takes time. It takes honesty. It takes discomfort. It takes showing up for yourself every single day, even when no one is watching. And it takes laughter, the kind of laughter that says, "Yeah, this is hard. But I'm still here." At 73, John Goodman is not just surviving, he's thriving. And he's doing it his way. Whether he's voicing a blue-bearded Papa Smurf or simply walking a red carpet in a well-fitted suit, there's a message that follows him: it's never too late. Not to change. Not to fight. Not to finally love the reflection staring back in the mirror. Well guys, what are your thoughts? Do tell us. Thanks for watching.